Jim Bergen, and I'm the pastor at Holy Cross Lutheran Church in Houston, Texas. This is the 22nd Sunday after Pentecost. The flight from San Francisco to LA was delayed. Even worse, barely airborne, it had to make an immediate, unexpected stop in San Jose. The flight attendant indicated there will be another hour delay. The passengers were told that they could briefly deplane if they wanted to move around just a little bit and stretch. Everyone got off, except for one regular commuter named Bob. He was blind. The captain came back into coach and said, "Hey, Bob, we're stuck here in San Jose for another hour. You want to get off and stretch your legs? I'll walk with you." Bob answered, "No thanks. I'm okay, but it sure would help if you could take my dog Sally so she can relieve herself." The whole flight crew knew Sally and loved her. "Sure, Bob, no problem." So the pilot put on his sunglasses and took Bob's seeing eye dog into the terminal. The healing of blind Bartimaeus is a pivot point in the Gospel of Mark. It concludes a section which begins with Jesus healing a blind man at Bethsaida. In between these two healings are Jesus' teachings on the cost of discipleship, predictions of the passion, and the calling of the people who are traveling with him to follow him into at least his death in Jerusalem, and perhaps theirs as well. This healing story is the last healing in Mark's gospel, and it is the hinge between the wandering ministry of Jesus on the road and the time-compressed, imminently dangerous Jerusalem ministry. It's hard to resist the feeling that Mark is offering a judgment on early believers who were looking for the signs of a kingly, successful, warrior Messiah in Jesus. Even though by this time Jesus has made 3 very clear predictions of his passion and many other allusions to it. People continue to parade after Jesus with no notion of a cross in their future, the cost of discipleship. Bartimaeus is a unique person insofar as he is the only person who Jesus healed whose name comes down to us in history. For his name to be preserved, he must have been an important person in the establishment of the way of Jesus. As a blind beggar, he sat by the way that he believed, and he saw the way. Believing is seeing. He stepped into the road on the way with Jesus to Jerusalem. He is the first person who publicly addresses Jesus as the Son of David. And notice how quickly the multitude gets the message from him. The next episode in Mark is the Palm Sunday procession. And in just a few days, Bartimaeus has a whole crowd in the parade up into the way of Jerusalem, chanting, "Hail, Jesus, Son of David! The new kingdom has arrived." That's bold. You don't say that kind of revolutionary stuff in front of the leaders of 2 bitter rival kingdoms, Rome and Jerusalem. But Bartimaeus is unstoppable. He believed. Now he sees. He personifies the attitude that if you think you can't, you can't. If you believe you can, you are the first page in a miracle. Seems like we don't ever get a gospel lesson from Mark without a question. Here we go again, and this time it's the same question as his most previous one to James and John. "What do you want me to do for you?" James and John ask for prestige. Bartimaeus asks for sight. But it's very much like the wish that is granted to Solomon in the Old Testament. Solomon, surrounded by all of the best riches and pleasures of life, asks for common sense, horse sense, everyday wisdom, the ability to believe and then see. Bartimaeus also does not seek privileges. He will no longer need the things that go along with blindness. Bartimaeus is ready to roll. He's already done what Jesus prescribed to the rich young man a chapter or so back. His one earthly possession as a blind beggar was his cloak, and he threw it off as he approached Jesus, calling out, "Have mercy on me." He must have already believed that he wasn't going to need that cloak anymore. If he thought he was going to stay blind, he would have taken his one worldly possession with him, just in case, because blind would have never found it again in that crowd. I feel bad that Bartimaeus never gets named as an official ordained disciple. Sorry, we already got 12, son. And the trader, well, he's got to stay because he has the checkbook. So you're not going to be official. Okay? Pastor Charles Swindoll tells of a Bible conference event for lay people that he attended. It was about your individual and personal calling into the ministry, no matter what your job was. The object was to show people that their talents and abilities and daily work was a holy way to glorify God and be a witness. At a coffee break in the lobby, he overheard a conversation. "So, Tom, what do you do for a living?" "Glad you asked. I'm an ordained plumber." That's great theology. A wonderful way to look at all the things you do as you proceed on the way of life with the master of life. Bartimaeus starts alongside the road, waiting for handouts, believing that he couldn't, so, well, he couldn't. Then he hears Jesus is in town. He has heard about the healing of the blind in Bethsaida. His life of horror turns into a life of hope. All he asks for is mercy from Jesus, nothing more. Jesus asks him what he really wants. His answer, "Teacher, I just want to see your face." And he moves from the tenuous periphery of society into the heart of the universe. At Mark, Bartimaeus is not the first to approach Jesus with faith, but he is the only one who winds up following him all the way to his suffering and death in a legal battle with the temple-based aristocracy. We discover what we believe. Believing is really seeing. Amen.